this day and age getting listings and growing your sphere of influence so you can get listings?
So I am still doing just sold cards. I'm not doing just listed cards right now because things are moving so fast. But I'm also doing newsletters at least once or twice a year in my farms that I've had for almost 20 years. I just went to a listing appointment yesterday, and the lady had every single one of my just sold cards in my newsletters. So some people really do keep them and remember you, and it has value. So that's a really big thing for me. I think also, the newsletters, if you farm a neighborhood, are important because I think people really want to have updates on what's happening in their neighborhood. They appreciate that. So I do that. I've lived in my area for almost all my life. So, I do get most of my business from referrals, to be honest with you. And sometimes the phone calls don't come for a couple of weeks and you start feeling nervous and you start to think, oh my God, I got to get going on other stuff. And then you get phone calls. But it's also, just making sure that you're constantly out there talking about your business to everybody, doing the social media, just keeping yourself on the forefront, out in your community as a realtor so that people think about you first. I also, in this last 6 months, when the market has gotten more difficult, I have started really doing a little bit more self-care, which is unusual for me. I usually I'm a bit of a workaholic, but I've been doing Pilates 5 days a week. And it's silly to say, but I really do think that it's valuable for all of us because it's kind of a stressful market, to make sure that you're taking care of yourself too, because it energizes you to do your business better if you are just feeling better. So.
No, I would agree. And I was going to ask you community. I know you're involved in some community with church. Anything you want to add to that as far as the community that you're involved in?
Yeah, I do a lot with my church and have been a member there since I was a teenager. So that is a big source of my business. That is probably more of my low to mid-range business. I also have been working really hard over the last couple of years with you, Jamie, to build my higher price point business. And it has been very successful. I'm really happy. I don't necessarily aim to have my whole business be $1 million and up listings and buyers. I don't have the stomach for it, to be honest with you. It's pretty intense. But I also just, due to my sphere of influence at my church and, friends that I have through my kids going through local schools and marching band and swimming and, all of the activities that they've been in, my sphere is very much middle range. And so I always make it a priority to have my listings and my buyers be anywhere from 200,000 to 2 mil. Like, I don't try and focus on one price point. I think, I'm getting to the age now where my kids' friends are buying houses. And so I'm starting to get a fair amount of business in that 200 to 400 range, which are, starters buying townhouses and things like that. And that's valuable too, because if you take good care of them, you'll get them as move-up buyers as they become higher value. So, I definitely, although I focused a lot more on trying to build my high-end business up in Upper Makefield and New Hope and Doylestown, I try and balance it as well.
Okay, great. As far as, I think one of the things I forgot to ask you is on your farming, and I know you used to do it. I'm not sure if you do it. Part of the problem that we're seeing, though, if you're just sending some type of mailing out, it's really hard to get that rapport with the consumer out there. So I know in years past you used to sponsor garage sales. Any ideas, thoughts, tips that you could share as far as to build that rapport when you're doing some farming pieces?
Yeah, I did garage sales for 15 years. I just stopped it within the last couple of years when it just got too hard. My business had gotten big enough. It was just too hard to keep it going. But I always did them at the same time of year in 2 different neighborhoods in Yardley. And it became an expectation. Like, people would contact me the month before to say, are you doing it again? So it was something that the people in the neighborhood valued, and I would just advertise it for them. I would sign it for them. And it was a great way to have a connection with people that aren't ready to sell yet, but then they will think of you later if you have a rapport with them. And I would walk around the day of the garage sale, introduce myself. I would bring muffins for people in the morning just so you could stand and have something to chat about. And you would always have really great conversations about the market. It's just, you know, what people tend to gravitate to. Sorry. And so I found it to be a really great thing to do. It is labor intensive, right? It was a lot of work to put them together, and it could be a pain some years because I would usually have them in May, and sometimes rain would get in the way and have to reschedule and pay for a second advertising. And so it's not something that's it takes 2 seconds to put in place. It's like farming. You have to be committed to it, and if you're going to do it, you have to be really good communicator, because you're showing them by default in your organization skills of how you run the garage sale and how you sign it and advertise it, what your skills are as a marketer. And if you don't do it well, or you're not a good communicator, you therefore can shoot yourself in the foot for getting future business. So you really have to be committed to doing it well. But it was really successful for me, and I got many listings out of it over the years.